And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
Johnny, my YouTube algorithm is starting to get really weird. You know, I'm subscribed to every local news channel in the state of California, not just the Los Angeles market and the Bay Area, but Sacramento, San Diego, the North State, all over the place. And because of that, my YouTube algorithm thinks I love local news. From not just California, apparently, because now I'm getting a bunch of Vegas and Arizona and New Mexico, and I'm even getting local news stories from Colorado. And let me just tell you, I was not prepared for this one to show up in my feed. Here's a quick report from Fox 21 in Colorado Springs.
The El Paso County Clerk and Recorder's Office sharing some information which hopefully is not too useful for some of our Fox 21 viewers.
It says Colorado is one of 18 states that allows marriages between first cousins.
Whoa.
I don't know why that was news. I don't know why that showed up in my feed, but apparently if you're hot for your cousin, move to Colorado.
Well, you would have to be Rocky Mountain High. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, if you were watching the local news last night, you saw the news about the horrific tragedy that took place on the freeway in the Inland Empire, where people were killed due to an individual driving a truck that not only wasn't paying attention, but was apparently high on drugs. And Randy, the more we learn about this case, the more infuriating it is, because this guy shouldn't have even been here in the first place.
The latest news to come out of that is this Yuba City truck driver that had that crash that slammed into 8 different cars, killing at least 3 people, was in the country illegally. For more, here's ABC 7 Eyewitness News in Los Angeles.
We begin with breaking news at 11 as we are learning much more about the man behind...
They do have the best breaking news music.
Well, it's action news.
More about the man behind the wheel of this semi as it slammed into a number of other vehicles on the 10 freeway Tuesday, killing 3 people. This dramatic dash cam video first obtained by ABC 7 and now the subject of a number of investigations. The driver of that semi is 21-year-old Jashanpreet Singh of Yuba City, California. And the law enforcement source...
You can get a truck driver's license at 21?
Apparently so.
And if you're not in the country legally?
Well, wasn't there another incident that happened in Florida with an illegal driver by the same name who got a license from the state of California?
Yes. And that's when the Secretary of Transportation said, no more truck drivers that are not in the country with papers. And California said, nah. And the Secretary of Transportation said, okay, we're going to cut your funding. And California said, nah.
And now this is on the news.
And a law enforcement source confirms to ABC News that Singh is an Indian national who's in the United States illegally. This is a story that has gotten a lot of attention, and Eyewitness News...
And he didn't overstay his visa. He came through the Mexican border.
You know, everything about this story drives me crazy.
This is a story that has gotten a lot of attention, and Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam is joining us now live with the new developments in this investigation. Tim.
Mark, investigators say the driver of this devastating crash was illegally living and working in California. And tonight, for the first time, we are seeing his face. This exclusive dashcam video shows the final seconds before 3 people died in this explosive, chaotic wreck. This dramatic video on the 10 freeway in Ontario is from inside this red Freightliner truck, which authorities say was driven by Jashanpreet Singh. Investigators say the 21-year-old was driving impaired when the truck caused this chain reaction crash. A law enforcement source...
That video, by the way, is really hard to watch because that truck didn't hit the brakes at all, and you could see the traffic was backing up, and when it would hit these cars, it would just crush them like tin cans.
A law enforcement source confirmed to ABC News that Singh is an Indian national who entered the U.S. illegally 3 years ago. The deadly crash turning political with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy posting on X, quote, This is exactly why USDOT has withheld $40 million from California for failure to comply with our rules to protect drivers. We cannot allow our roads to be a dangerous place. 8 cars were damaged during the crash Tuesday, which happened in the middle of the day.
The hardest part is...
How did this guy get a truck driver's license?
Everything about this story is nuts. Everything. And I read somewhere also that the Biden administration had an opportunity to deport him and didn't.
The hardest part is knowing that at least 3 of these individuals will not have a Christmas, will not make it home as we're getting to the holiday season.
One of the victims identified as a 54-year-old man from Upland. 2 of the other people who died were burned so badly in the fire they haven't been identified.
Holy cow.
I'm telling you, when you watch that video, you know, at least for those first couple of cars, there is 0% chance those people are going to make it out alive.
I haven't seen the video yet because I know if I watch it, I will be so traumatized. I will be scared to death to get behind the wheel ever again because I know what these roads are like in California.
Well, and if that's a freeway that you've spent a lot of time on, as I have, you know it backs up there. You know everyone's going to slam on their brakes, and then you hit your brakes, and then it's going to be stop and go, stop and go, stop and go for a while, and then it picks back up again. And this guy just didn't pay attention to those brake lights at all. He just kept going.
Well, apparently he was high on something.
4 others were rushed to the hospital for treatment.
This is sadly a reminder of how precious life is and how fast it could be taken away at the hands of somebody who is driving irresponsibly, somebody who is impaired.
Yeah, the driver...
How about this? Someone who shouldn't have even been in the country to begin with.
Yeah, the driver was living in Yuba City in Northern California, and they are expected to make their first court appearance tomorrow on several felony charges, including manslaughter.
Wait, did he just call him they?
I think so.
Okay, I know that he's here illegally. I know that he was allegedly on drugs. I know about all of those problems. But he's not non-binary too, is he?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, the driver was living in Yuba City in Northern California, and they are expected to make their first court appearance tomorrow on several felony charges, including manslaughter and DUI. Tim Pulliam, ABC 7, Eyewitness News.
So there is the outrageous story where people lost their lives because this jackass was behind the wheel of a big rig high on who knows what.
And this is going to be one of these stories that just disappears because it doesn't fit the narrative. Every aspect of this story shows you how the Biden administration and the Newsom administration has failed the people they were elected to represent. It's just one of these inconvenient stories. And so my guess is they won't talk about it and the news media will just move on. And 2 out of 3 victims haven't even been identified yet because the burns are so bad. Just awful. Well, that's what happened yesterday. In Northern California, we know that the Soros DA in San Francisco was bounced and replaced by Brooke Jenkins. We know that Brooke Jenkins ran on the platform of prosecuting more crime than her predecessor. And Randy, it looks like she's doing just that.
In fact, Brooke Jenkins is currently filing so many cases that it is pissing off the public defenders who say, we don't have enough staff to do these cases justice, so we need a judge to just release a whole bunch of people.
And it's San Francisco, so who knows? Maybe they'll get their wish.
Let's find out what's going on here. Here is a report from ABC 7 in the Bay.
In order, the public defender's office has warned for months it doesn't have the staffing necessary to deal with its increasing caseload. Back in May, the office announced it would stop taking new cases a few days a week in order to catch up. Speaking to ABC 7 News in the spring, the city's public defender, Mano Raju, saying they partnered with private attorneys to help manage the caseload.
We cannot allow the representation of our clients to suffer. And if we take on more cases, that's going to happen.
But now, even with the help of those extra lawyers, the public defender's office says it's still at its limit, something that could lead to the release of people charged with some crimes back onto the street as they await trial.
How is that allowed?
I love the fact that the idea of telling them to knock it off just never even enters anyone's minds.
something that could lead to the release of people charged with some crimes back onto the street as they await trial. A possibility that's angered the San Francisco Sheriff's Office, as well as the city's district attorney, Brooke Jenkins.
They do not have the legal right not to represent the clients that they're appointed to represent, and the court should still be appointing them to these cases.
Jenkins says she doesn't believe the public defender's office is short-staffed. During our interview, she told us she thinks it's a political move that could harm everyday San Franciscans.
And this is an attempt by the public defender to weaponize the court system in order to put the mayor's back against the wall to get what he wants that he didn't receive during the budget period.
Oh, he wanted a whole bunch of money from Daniel Lurie, and he didn't get it, so he's going to hold the city hostage.
And if he finds friendly judges, then the judges will go along with this plan.
I talked to the public defender's office about Jenkins's.
By the way, considering that we're talking about the public defender's office, we know what all these charges are. These are all the drug cases, these are all the homeless cases, and these are probably also all the Honduran drug dealer cases.
I think I told you, a good friend of mine is a deputy DA in one of the Southern California counties. And my friend told me that the judges, after Prop 36 passed, the left-wing judges are really angry at the DAs for filing so many charges. And the judges are saying that their schedules are overflowing and that they don't have time to deal with all of these cases. And they're putting a lot of pressure on the DAs to drop many of these charges or to settle with them so that it won't end up in front of the judge.
Oh, it's not just the judges that are pissed off. In a hearing this week at the LA County Board of Supervisors, Holly Mitchell,
Quite frankly,
was going after Nathan Hochman because she's upset that there's been so many filings for Prop 36 in LA County that it has raised LA County's jail population by almost 9%, which is making a lot harder for them to close Men's Central Jail.
And that is at the top of her wish list.
I talked to the public defender's office about Jenkins's comments. They said she was deflecting responsibility for the caseload crisis and misplacing blame on their office. In a statement, they said, "The reality is that the courts and defense attorneys would not be so overwhelmed if the district attorney's office weren't filing so many frivolous and unsubstantiated cases."
What?
What is the DA supposed to do? Let's just evaluate this for a second. You have, let's say, a CVS drugstore get knocked off. The person's on videotape. The person's done it before. You know who they are. And the cops make an arrest, and they write a report, and it lands on your desk. Are you supposed to say, well, this is a relatively low-level crime. It's retail theft. No one was injured. Is it really worth the time to prosecute this person and to get on the judge's calendar and overwhelm the public defender's office with yet another case, or should we just let it go? That's what they want them to do. If they complain enough, they figure the path of least resistance for the prosecutor would be to just take a pass, which they have the ability to do. And they're trying to push them or bully them in that direction so that they don't have to work as hard as they otherwise would. But the crime is not going to go down. The crime, in fact, will go up because the more they get away with it, the more emboldened they are. The concerns of the shopkeepers, the concerns of the taxpayers, the concerns of the people who live there, who expect to live in a clean, safe community, those aren't even regarded as relevant. That shows you where their mind is.
The reality is that the courts and defense attorneys would not be so overwhelmed if the district attorney's office weren't filing so many frivolous and unsubstantiated cases.
How dare Brooke Jenkins do her job and file the cases that are presented to her because San Francisco PD and the San Francisco sheriffs are finally making arrests? How dare she? I'm guessing the public defender doesn't like it when Lurie orders a sweep of a public park and gets all the drug addicts arrested in one night.
No, from their point of view, when criminals were able to do whatever they wanted without consequences, that was the greatest thing ever. Because they didn't have a lot of work. The clients that they were given weren't going to prison for a long time. And that to them was equity. And now there's a new sheriff in town, and the new sheriff is not even really enforcing the law the way that, say, a Todd Spitzer would. I mean, she's better than Chesa Boudin, but let's not kid ourselves. You're not talking about a hardcore lock them up and throw away the key kind of person here. You're still talking about a liberal Democrat, but you're talking about a liberal Democrat who understands if you allow what was going on to continue, there would be no place left for them to shop, and their population would be in free fall because no one would feel safe there. And the criminal defense attorneys and the judges aren't even willing to tolerate that.
What do you think your quality of life is if you went to law school, you graduated, you took the bar, you decided to become a public defender because you wanted to help out the destitute, and every single case on your docket is meth head?
It's got to be just infuriating. It's got to just make you a completely defeated person. And don't forget, these public defenders, they have to go to the jails and meet with their clients. Well, the crazy meth head on the street that's screaming at a lamppost isn't going to be any saner in private with these criminal defense attorneys. In fact, they're going to probably be more abusive to them because they regard you as an employee. And if they have to go to jail or they have to go to rehab or they have to participate in some program, they don't want to do that. So they'll blame you. So the public defender's office, they have to get it from all angles too. But many of them are true believers. Many of them are just as ideologically extreme as Chesa Boudin and George Gascon and the people on the Public Safety Committee in the state legislature. They start out there. And then once they've been around these people for so long, I'm sure they're just trying to find ways so they don't have to deal with them on a daily basis because it ruins your life.
Well, and it's another thing you have to pay attention to in a regular election year is when you see all those elections for judges in Southern California and Northern California. If you're not going to do the research as to who these people are, a simple thing that you can do is chances are you're going to be okay if you vote someone to be a judge that it's listed that they worked in the prosecutor's office. But if you vote someone to be a judge that was a public defender, you're getting something completely different.
Yeah, the moment you see that, run for the hills.
The DA's office has increased the number of cases filed by nearly 60% since 2021. Jenkins says the court...
Elections matter, especially recalls.
They do.
Jenkins says the court system has been unable to manage its calendar for a long time. But while this process plays out, the DA tells us she wants to ensure city residents...
By the way, another reason the courts are so overwhelmed is because they don't want to give anybody hard prison time, so the same small group of people that are causing all the crime in San Francisco keep doing it over and over and over and over again instead of, removing them from society.
It's not that hard. When we had 3 strikes and you're out and we actually stuck to it, crime was in free fall in California. You were safe virtually everywhere. And then people started saying, why are we spending so much money on prisons? Look at how bad the prisons are. Wouldn't we be better off if that money went to education? Okay, well, you defunded the prisons and you gave the money to Cecily Bayard Cruz. How'd that work out for you?
But while this process plays out, the DA tells us she wants to ensure city residents she's still working to keep them safe.
My office is doing everything that it can to provide the court and the city with what it needs to respond to this crisis.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie's office did not respond to ABC 7 News' request for comment. In San Francisco, Tim Johns, ABC 7 News.
I'll say this about Lurie. As far as we've seen, he's had the DA's back every chance that he can, and I'm glad that he didn't give extra budget to the public defender's office.
Well, the city of San Diego used to be a high-functioning big city in California. Then all of the good mayors termed out, and they were replaced by, a Sacramento politician who let the stupidity cancer spread.
San Diego is now turning into the next Las Vegas, where they are finding ways to nickel and dime everyone and everything because they overspend on their budget, and it is making San Diego one of the most unaffordable cities in the entire state.
And they keep repeating the same bad behavior over and over and over again.
The newest one, jacking up the fees for valet parking at San Diego hotels. For more, here's ABC 10 in San Diego.
Getting your car parked by a valet in San Diego might cost a bit extra. A hotel general manager tells me that could become the reality if the city goes through with increasing valet fees for hotels and restaurants.
This is really when the uproar began with all the hotel operators in the city.
This is, by the way, just days after San Diego won in a court battle to get approval for their hotel tax increase.
I'm telling you, anyone who wants a beachy vacation is going to start going to Florida. Why would you put up with this?
This is Todd Husett. He's the general manager of the Horton Grand Hotel. That uproar he's talking about is the cost of the hotel's curbside valet parking services.
It's been a very disappointing situation.
Right now, the hotel's got 4 spaces, but they come at a hefty price, and things could become more expensive.
It'd be $20,000 plus the automatic $5,000 fee that we're paying now on top.
How do you stay afloat?
So to have a curbside parking space for people to pull in and valet as a restaurant or a hotel, it's costing you $20,000, and they want to make it $25,000.
It's shameful. It is shameful that they're doing this. It's shameful that they're getting away with it. And it's shameful that the people down there vote for this because they run for local office on the platform of Orange Man Bad. They know nothing about doing a budget for a city, so they bankrupt the city. And to make up for it, they find ways to nickel and dime you to death.
According to city documents, a new proposal would allow the city to charge $5,000 for 2 standard valet spaces. Additional spaces would cost $10,000, while spaces in special event zones would be $15,000.
For us, it's about a $5,000 increase. Other hotels, it's up to about a $6,000 increase.
The city
And you think they're just going to eat that cost?
No, they're going to pass it on to the people staying there.
Wants to recover lost revenue from parking meters when curbside space is used for valet service. Husett says this isn't the way to go.
It's a much greater impact for most of the hotels downtown to give them 2 spots.
By the way, there's no way that math adds up. There's no way the city would have made $25,000 on 1 parking space.
No, it's in no way related to reality, but nothing that they do is.
Husett says this isn't the way to go.
It's a much greater impact for most of the hotels downtown to give them 2 spots when they have 8, 9 spots. Operationally, for a 300-plus room hotel, it just doesn't work that way.
Right now, the hotel's valet parking rates are $59 for overnight. And
yikes.
That's nutty. I remember one time, and I never have a car in San Francisco. I had a car in San Francisco, and the hotel was charging $100 a night for parking. And I thought to myself, that's what they charge for a hotel room in some parts of the country.
When I drove up to San Francisco last summer and we stayed at the Hilton that's in the Chinatown area, self-parking was $60 a night. But apparently it was well worth it because we did not get bipped.
I've been bipped several times.
At what point do the rental car companies start to push back on this? Someone needs to go knock on the door over at Hertz and tell OJ to get on it.
Right now, the hotel's valet parking rates are $59 for overnight and $30 a day. Husett says if the city proposal passes, that could increase for customers.
Valet parking is so expensive to begin with. We can't do a huge hike, but it can be 10 to 20% initially at the start of the year.
It's already 60. How about 80?
You know, I think part of this is also ideological because there is a war on cars going on right now in California.
Oh, I mean, that's part of the reason why the San Diego City Council said we've got to jack up the parking meters and the gas lamp to $10 an hour, which the people most being affected is now the waiters, waitresses, and bartenders at the restaurants at the gas lamp.
How do you make those numbers work? If you're a teenager or you're someone in your early 20s or you're an immigrant and you're bussing tables at a restaurant down there and that's what they're charging you to park your car, how many hours do you have to work before you finally pay the city for your parking fees before you start collecting for yourself?
The proposal was approved by the City Council's Active Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. It'll go before the full City Council next month. In a statement, the city said in part, as demand for curbside access increased and the value of curb space became more apparent, particularly in high traffic.
By the way, that's an interesting point right here.
As demand for curbside access increased.
Do you know one of the reasons why there is so much more demand for curbside parking in San Diego, John?
Why is that?
Because the San Diego City Council passed all of these bonus laws where you could build all this density without any parking. So there's no parking spaces for all the apartment buildings.
So San Diego is becoming Houston.
Yes.
As demand for curbside access increased and the value of...
With less good barbecue.
As demand for curbside access increased and the value of curb space became more apparent, particularly in high-traffic commercial areas, the city recognized the need to better manage and equitably allocate this limited resource. Yasmin Ludi, ABC 10 News.
They can say whatever they want. They are jacking up the prices because they can. Because they don't want to cut their own budgets. They don't want to have to trim the fat, and there's plenty of fat in that budget. No, they're going to nickel and dime everybody until you get to a point where it is too expensive to spend time in San Diego, and people will go somewhere else. As fun as that city is, as fun as the gas lamp is, as fun as Mission Bay and Ocean Beach is, if you make it too expensive, people will go somewhere else.
And it's not just valet parking. They're doing the same thing with trash fees.
Let's also screw over the homeowners. In fact, they're charging trash fees even to all the new people who haven't gotten new bins yet. Here's CBS 8 in San Diego.
Property tax bills are arriving, and if you live in the city of San Diego and have to start paying for trash collection, you will notice that new fee on your property tax bill.
It's almost like there was a memo that went out between all the big California cities that all went broke this year. That, hey, trash fees are one of the few things that you can jack up where the public does not have to vote on it. So L.A. did that, and San Diego's doing it too.
Well, they get real cute with the definition. It's a fee, it's not a tax.
But several viewers reached out to us wondering why they have to pay now, even though they won't be getting their new trash bin for several months. Working for you, we asked the city that question.
Around 17,000 new trash bins have been distributed by the city so far, which means there are still more than 200,000 to go to residents like Jess, who emailed us saying she has charges on my property tax bill already, but won't be getting her new bin until December.
So the city said, oh, we're going to give everyone these fancy new bins, but we also have to charge you money. Then they started charging money, and they haven't given everyone the bins.
How is that not fraud?
She's not happy about that, and the city admits Jess is not alone.
We are getting this question from residents.
Jeremy Bowers with the city's Environmental Services Department. Working for you, I asked him to explain why people are paying when bins still haven't been delivered.
By the way, what do you think he's making at the Environmental Services Department?
Oh, he's at least a half a fake doctor.
And you got to remember another thing. San Diego, and we did this story a while ago. John, you remember somehow San Diego voters voted yes on a ballot that gave all members of the city council and the mayor yearly raises, whether they're good at their jobs or not. And those raises are continuing.
It's on autopilot.
The fee that people are paying right now is for the service they're receiving. So that includes weekly collection of trash, weekly collection of organics, and biweekly collection of recycling.
Wait, you only get recycling picked up every 2 weeks in San Diego, and they jacked up the fees?
Well, at least they get what they're paying for.
With all the crap we buy on Amazon, that's the bin that fills up the fastest.
Come to San Diego, where you don't get what you're paying for, but you get what you vote for.
Simply put, you're paying for your trash to be picked up, not for the new bins, which the city says are really more for their benefit than yours, allowing them to track drivers' efficiency and making it easier for their employees to know who is and isn't supposed to have their trash picked up.
The new colors, for example, ensure that our drivers are only picking up from paying customers going forward.
By the way, you know what this is going to lead to? Because we've seen this in Los Angeles, you've seen this in Oakland. There is always a correlation when you start jacking up how much it costs to pick up trash, and this is just homeowners. Wait till you see what they're doing to apartment buildings and commercial. What you're going to see is a rise in illegal dumping. And when you have a city that doesn't enforce those laws, San Diego is going to start smelling a whole lot like L.A.
It's going to be a beautiful city in terms of the geography, but it's going to smell like Oakland.
The new colors, for example, ensure that our drivers are only picking up from...
Can you imagine what it'd be like to be a San Diegan and after a rainstorm get those emails from public health saying, oh, so much debris went into the ocean, you can't swim?
Well, start voting differently.
Are only picking up from paying customers going forward and not from any legacy containers that have built up along the streets over the last several decades.
So when will you be getting that new trash can? The city's website has a tracking map where I found a City Heights neighborhood that will be waiting until January, a Linda Vista neighborhood that has to wait until February, and another in San Ysidro that won't get their trash cans until March. You can also type in your address on the website, and that's where I found this area of Point Loma along Catalina Boulevard, where, make no bones about it, they'll be cleaning a lot of cobwebs before their bins arrive in mid-March.
I don't get it, but for whatever reason, the people who live there are very tolerant of this.
You're getting worse city services for more money.
After everyone has their new trash bins, the city will start distributing new recycling cans with the goal of having those out by the end of summer. Working for you, Steve Price, CBS 8.
Every single homeowner in San Diego has to pay an additional $660 in their property taxes for worse service.
And you watch that mayor, Todd Gloria, who wrecked that city, once he terms out, he's going to look in the mirror and see a governor or a U.S. senator or something big. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Vince writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Here's a parking fun fact. I have annual passes for Disneyland. My level of pass parking is included. I was shocked last year when parking was posted at $35. Well, I just noticed the other day parking at Disney is now $40.
Wow. To be able to afford to go to the park, you're going to have to write in on Aladdin's magic carpet.
You know, it's funny, too. When we were at the Universal Hilton for the Over the Edge event, I just happened to be pulling out of that parking lot and looking into Universal Studios parking lot. Universal Studios charges you for valet parking to that theme park $60.
How do people pay this?
Just wait till you see what parking's going to be at the old World Series games in L.A.
You know, I think I sent it to you because you're a Hilton partisan, as am I. And the Wall Street Journal did a big article about the Hilton Corporation. And I think when people hear Hilton, they think of just the regular Hilton hotels. But the Hilton Corporation is a big umbrella that has a lot of different brands underneath it. You can go super high end and you have the Waldorf properties, you have the Canopy properties, the Conrad properties on one side, and then you have the low end properties on the other side, where you get the Homewood Suites and the DoubleTrees and whatnot. The brand that is the most popular brand, and by that I mean the most hotel rooms in the company, and it's not even close, is Hampton Inn. Hampton Inn is by far the most successful brand in the Hilton portfolio.
The same beige layout, even in other countries, the same free waffle, and the same free parking.
I think it's because when you look at the price of a Hampton Inn, you know what the cost is. You're not going to pull up to a Hampton Inn and they're going to tell you that it's $100 to park the car there. Now, I have stayed at Hampton Inns where they do charge you for parking. So that does happen. It's not something that is antithetical to the brand. But for the most part, if you stay at a Hampton Inn, especially if you're in a rural area, I stayed at a Hampton Inn in Eureka, California one time, places like that, they're not going to charge you for parking because they can't get away with it in those towns.
Hey, let's go to David Riverside. Dave, hello.
Hey, how you guys doing? Love the show. Our family has made it a yearly tradition to go down to the Hyatt Mission Bay at the 4th of July, spend 2-3 nights, watch the fireworks on their lawn You can see 3 different cities at the same time. It's great. But their resort fees and parking fees on top of their $350 a night fee for a room, and we have 2 kids, it's just blown us out. We're not going to go down there again, and it's been a family tradition for years.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to go to a different city? Or are you going to go to San Diego and find a Hampton Inn or a hotel that's more affordable?
Well, I think when we go to San Diego, we'll go down and come back. Like if we go down to Old Town, we can be back home in an hour and a half. So rather than stay overnight, we're just going to make it a daytime deal.
And I don't think they understand this, because I think a lot of people are going to be like you. Because if you do it as a day trip, then what happens? Well, you probably bring sandwiches with you for the drive down there. You probably get your coffee from home or someplace around your own neighborhood. And then you go there, you do whatever it is you're going to do during the day. And then maybe you hit it in and out on the way home for dinner instead of going to a restaurant in San Diego. They just cost the company that sells the breakfast. They cost the company that sells the dinner. They cause the hotel to lose money. It's a chain reaction because of what they're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate that.
It's so funny you bring that up, because that's what I started doing in Santa Barbara wine country. It used to be 3 or 4 times a year, my wife and I would drive up to Buellton. We'd stay at the Hampton Inn there because it was like $100 a night. And we'd go eat at the Hitching Post, which was like a $300 or $400 dinner. But now that hotel is $300 a night, we just day trip it. We bring up our own food. We don't really drink that much. We just pick up our wine and leave.
That's what people do. This is what's going on with Las Vegas. With Hawaii, you can't do that because it's a plane trip. So people just avoid Hawaii altogether. And you find new places to go to. And the threat for these locations is what happens if you end up liking the new place that you just found. When Las Vegas started to go crazy with the prices, I started going back to Laughlin. I had not been to Laughlin in 20 years. And I started going back because it's more affordable than Las Vegas. And you know what? I found out that I like it.
In Laughlin, they've got a caddy for your oxygen tank at the slot machine.
And they have pizzas the size of flat screen TVs.